Hey, this is Skullgirdle, and welcome to Undead Conversations with Jesucrisis of the US and Chile. Okay, first, will y'all please introduce yourselves?
We are Jesucrisis, and the band original project in Chile, and after continued for approx 7 years in Catalunya, Barcelona, Spain, and in 2010. And then return to Chile, he continued the project with other friends. And after first meet with Lisa in one compilation, the Symphonies Nocturnes, Jorge Marshall. Mm-hmm. I listened all the partners in this compilation, conversation, and after the bands for my interest. I look in project Lisa and your friends, and I think, wow, it's very good. And after conversations, recording one single, after two, after continued.
Well, I've been playing the violin since the age of 10. I play professionally, classically with regional symphonies. And right after college, I started playing with bands, listening to the underground scene in Pittsburgh here, and certainly listening to the post-punk and punk scene that was still around in the mid to late 80s. And just started writing original music in the 90s, collaborating with film artists here in town and theater artists and dancers, but also writing stuff in a vacuum, just violin, more acoustic violin, occasionally electric violin. I had a big lull in my life with regard to creating original music, and then picked it up again, at least in a big way, around 2015, and realized that I wanted to write electrically, with electric violin. I had been in a band in Pittsburgh that was more punk, heavy emphasis on the punk. I was also in a darker band back then, and that was more of the organic sound that came from me and my body. And so anyway, in 2015 started writing original stuff and have done some really cool collaborations since. We come with Reverse and now Jurigan, but my mainstay, of course, is Jesucrisis.
My first experience in music is in the movement anarchy-hardcore punk. My friends, the other bands, partner the bands, playing hardcore punk. Mm-hmm. And listen much bands, the rock Gothic, more rebels. For inspiration in bands, more rebels, singing Christian Death, one band very rebel, and Bauhaus, and about the mission, and I like it. The band one more original and rebel attitude for mm-hmm. this moment. This is I like first time the movement Gothic rock. I continued parallel with one project similar to rock Gothic lyrics, one small heretics. This moment I am very young, very rebel. And after exploring other sounds, more atmospheric.
Yes.
He mentioned a coupe, and I just wanted to stress that those are squatter movements. In English, that would be squatters. In Barcelona, the coupe, correct?
Oh,
yeah.
Oh,
yeah. In Princeton, I live in one very emblematic Ocupa in Chile. I construction with my partner one room for rehearsal. The keeps, the friends, and the name, my first band, Terror Policial.
Terror Policial.
Terror Policial.
Police Terror.
Police Terror, yeah. And after, travel Barcelona and looking very good organization. And after I continued playing in other bands, the Metal Gothic, Silent Memories, and I continued with other friends, composition, rehearsal, step by step, search partners for this music. It's one is more difficult. Yeah, not much people playing rock Gothic. Todos los people like it more metal, more punk.
Yes.
And Deathrock and Gothic combination.
Yes.
All the things. They are more complex.
I noticed in the last album that there are definite sounds of post-punk in there along with the Deathrock. So I kind of wanted to know, how did you come to collaborate? How did you meet?
Back in January of 2017, Vladi and I were on the same Sinfonia Nocturna. So I was familiar with Jesucrisis a teeny bit. I hadn't talked with Vladimir or communicated at all. But when we were on the same Sinfonia Nocturna, I thought, I liked his sound. At the same time that I wrote to him about possible collaboration or just starting to talk music, I had written to a few others as well. But Vladimir and I started embarking on conversation about putting music together internationally. Mm-hmm. And he had a piece that was half completed, mostly completed, Insufficient Tentacion, not really at all in the norm of what he was doing mainstay, but it was just a whole piece that he's trying to finish, and he threw it my way, and I created a line to it. But we had already had in mind to start on writing and composing together, because he really is a composer, and I'm a composer, and every sense of the word, and Vladimir especially with regard to bass and voice and lyrics, letras. So anyway, with that, we started in on Serpente Nuit. Serpente Nuit came out in November of 2017.
You've got an upcoming album.
See.
Yeah,
yes.
Will Rose of the Monolith be on that album, and are you exploring the idea of that particular piece further?
Rose will be on the album.
Before singles included a new album.
Yes.
Serpente Nuit, right. Insufficient Temptation, and Rose of the Monolith, and probably three more.
More than three more. We have more than three more.
Is it full length or EP?
It'll be a full length, and actually,
probably more news. Yes. For this, for the motif is folk, the different part of the world. For this song, Rose of the Monolith, I search much music, previous Orthodox. I listen. It's not much music, all music, and after combination with rock, much more effects. The instrument, the Lisa, instrument, the J. The product is one song, the Rose of the Monolith.
He's referencing, of course, the beginning of Rose of the Monolith, but also the overarching topic, which is the story of Vasilisa y Baba Yaga. And of course, he also Jay Rabin, who was our big collaborator from Finlandia.
Thank you. That was my next question. Sorry, I got a little excited. I love and adore Baba Yaga and the Three Knights and the hopping. I actually have a hopping chicken house this big. That is a plushie that a friend gave me, and Baba Yaga hangs from the front.
Yes, for this song I investigate much all literature popular the Rus, and I discovered this tale de Baba Yaga, and wow, very very interesting. It's a story for boys, and it's very for history.
Sounds like you were familiar with it too, Michelle, when you were younger,
yes.
Perhaps.
No. From my adulthood, I actually have a children's book called My Beautiful Vasilisa.
Okay.
But for finish answer, the other songs, for example, I listen most music investigation music that is sung and the people, Iroquois, all Native American, North American, in the house de Lisa, and I don't know, it's very different. For example, the concept, the Rose of the Monolith, Latin Americans. Right. I don't know, product after.
Different. I think
yes.
Poco igualmente también, no? A little bit.
But
Because folk, the idea of
this music combination with concept, the Jesucrisis, the product after the process is very interesting.
And of course, Rose of the Monolith grew out of that first winter with the snow, the excessive snow we had. And our thoughts went to Jay because Jay had said to us he'd like to collaborate. Mm-hmm. And I would like to mention Jay Rabin for a moment here, a little bit more, because we were hoping he could join us, as you know, but it would have been a little bit technically difficult. But he's here with us in spirit. And Jay had talked to us in December of literally the month that Vladimir came to Pennsylvania of 2018, and he said, "Hey, Lisa and Vladi, I would really like to do some sort of collaboration." We were like, "Really?" We had no clue what we were getting at. But it worked out perfectly for Rose of the Monolith, his guitar, and the idea that he could contribute with the video on horseback for that great footage that he sent us, because he has stables and beautiful horses.
Yeah, Jay understand very speed the concept, the song.
Yeah.
He in not much time recording the guitars and recording one video. When imagine for the video.
Yes.
Very easy working with Jay. Apportation much, collaboration much in the concept of the song, Jay.
Well, will he be present on the upcoming album?
Well, he's going to be present with Rose, and in the future, I'm not sure this album, because we're trying to fast and furious finish now for the end. He's coming to Toronto, we think, for a visit with his work. He's a professor, and he teaches in Helsinki, and then he goes to Russia as well. He's visiting Toronto, we believe, next summer, and we for sure will be visiting him and try to get him into a studio here in Pittsburgh or up there, and we hope and intend, I should say, to play live with Jay. For sure.
And probably other collaboration with Jay.
Absolutely.
Please share how you feel about all the crossover, like with Gothic rock and post-punk mixing, and dark wave and Gothic rock, or dark wave and post-punk, or even cold wave and post-punk, which we've been seeing some of that lately. How are you enjoying that?
Well, just a quick answer, I guess, on it is that we tend to not like or think too much about tags, but we have to, of course, a little bit.
Right.
So, another reason for social media. I've always considered my stuff dark post-punk. And I know I'm going to pass the baton in a moment here to Vladi. I know that he considers his stuff, and now our stuff, Deathrock, Gothic rock, and dark post-punk or post-punk. What do you think about the labels of post-punk, Gothic rock, Deathrock? Gusta, do you like labels, or how do we fit? How does Jesucrisis fit into?
Composition I try more blank, white, but I think mine, no muy thing in the movement, Gothic, post-punk, I don't know. I think Jesucrisis song is in combination with the concept, with investigation, etc. We like it.
The composition is, in a sense, we try to compose and not worry so much about where it's going to fit. I know I tried to express this earlier, that what comes from me organically is more of a dark stuff, and from Vladimir too. But he's got a nicer edge, I think, or he's got an ability to do more irreverent work, like Insufficient that I might be inclined to do anymore. Back in the day, with my CD Nalada, I was thinking a little more brighter dissonance, and that's only a deeper and richer, from a place of depth.
Everywhere is present influence. Love Like Blood, Your Church, and the classic band, the new band, very interesting. The song is very present, and for composition is complete mind in one tribe, but I don't know. I am now very old man. I try. It's very good. Yeah, for me. And read other interview, the other band using similar system. And I don't know, casi siempre finish in one song, Gothic rock.
I never heard the term post-punk. It's still, I have a hard time with it. I know what it sounds like, but it still is a weird genre name for me.
Post-punk, for me, that tag intends to encapsulate a lot of different, all good stuff, all great stuff that came from a place of growth, musically. But there's more stuff in post-punk too that, for me anymore, I feel like I'm tired of it. More of the indie sound.
That's a whole other discussion.
But for me, I like post-punk. I like dark post-punk because that incorporates any and everything that me and my friends and the music that I love. It fits under dark post-punk. Whereas Gothic rock. There's Gothic rock in my mind, and there's Gothic, and then there's Deathrock, And then there's I even have sub divisions in my mind. I mean, I think Serpent de Nuit is kind of a Gothic, but not Gothic rock. Rosa the Monolith is Gothic rock, and Deathrock. It's funny how we all tend to categorize stuff.
For me, I no control in the moment much bands. So I like it much discovering new bands. I know close only the classic band. Much bands news in Latin America and in USA. And for example, I no listen. I every day Gothic in the day. I listen, for example, folk. I listen much metal. I listen punk rock, etc., etc. And I think Gothic rock is possible complementation. This is concept punk, metal, folk, in the concept God rock. This is for this motive. I like it. This name, God rock.
Goth rock.
Yes.
Oh, there's plenty of times when he says he doesn't like Gothic rock either. Like the Tan. How we revolt against, I don't want to write something just strictly dark. And I'm like, but I really want to write dark stuff. And so being a little bit competitive.
What I find with some of the artists that I enjoy the most is that the influences are not necessarily all Gothic, punk, all the feeders. Like, you'll hear people who listen to opera or to classical music, like Stravinsky, I think was one I saw. I forget who that was. There's a lot of influence coming from the Doors. And my favorite being, because in the 80s, it was everywhere ubiquitous, is David Bowie. So do you consider David Bowie any kind of an influence for you as well? Young people don't get how important David Bowie and glam rock are to Gothic genre.
Yeah, I remember in first time when I discovered this music alternative, and I living in one time in Chile the dictatorship. No culture in Chile.
No culture.
It era very difficult discovering music. No internet. No. And in one feria,
a market, in
one market, I buy two vinyls, Lodger, the album Lodger, the David Bowie, and Hanky Dory. And this album is very interesting because no much songs. Yeah, Andy Warhol is the Hanky Dory. No much popular song the David Bowie, and much song very interesting, muy. For example, Lodger is very Brianino, un son similar experimental type Brianino.
Oh, Brianino, okay.
Brianino.
It was an adjective, it was a man. Brianino. So some of David Bowie's stuff he was gravitating toward. All David Bowie's stuff, of course, was very, very cutting edge, but very esoteric things he was mentioning here.
Yes,
I'm familiar with.
I am very young and listen much David Bowie. Yeah.
I'm certainly aware of him and certainly familiar. It wasn't an influence for me.
Do you think that's because you were playing classical violin at the time?
No, I mean, when I was playing classical violin, simply when I was younger, before college age, I was just on. I grew up in the MTV age of the '80s, so so I was listening to that. Just simply that stuff, and then of course my mind opened after college, and I ate up all of the darker. I mean the other world of music. For me, the Joy Division, I was attracted immediately, and still, of course, to the songwriting, the compositions of Nick Cave, the Swans, a huge favorite of mine and of Vladi's actually. The side project, of course, World of Skin. Certainly all of Bauhaus. My being away from music a little bit had me less familiar, less saturated with fields of the Nephilium, and got more reacquainted with that in later years. But my sound would be from a Nick Cave and a Swan perspective, and a Bauhaus and a Joy Division early on.
I've noticed with your violin, especially in Fractured with Jer, the way you're playing is you're pretty much sawing at the strings. You're punctuating them, and yes, and it's quite aggressive. It's effective. It's an effective rhythm instrument sometimes in the way you play it, and I think that's part of why I find it compelling. Where does that come from?
But yeah, that doesn't come from any intent on my part. That is my organic approach to the instrument. When I'm not playing classically, and if I pick up the violin, whether it be on an acoustic or on the electric now especially, my sound comes from a place that I can't, as any artist necessarily cannot say where your sound comes from. But it's from, in other words, I have no intention to use the violin in a particular way. That's why maybe people are going to hate me for saying this, those of you out there that love. I've never been attracted to Laurie Anderson, for example, because I felt that she used the instrument to try to say something or to try to do something novel. For me, there's no, and again, perhaps others are cringing, but I never felt attracted to that sound. For me, playing on the electric violin or on the violin, is that it's got to be sonically pleasing. It's got to come from a place that's meaningful and significant.
Right.
The comment that I wanted to make on back in the day when I was writing on the acoustic violin, and I know recently this past week you liked my CD Nalada, I wanted to show that the acoustic violin could rock, punk rock. And I, at the time, were in the punk scene, the post-punk scene in Pittsburgh, but into punk rock. And we were wanting to show on acoustic violin and on acoustic cello that you could make punk songs, fast, short little songs, in a la Ramones, but much more intricate because of the compositional skills, hopefully. But anyway, now with the darker, for me, it's just coming from a place more of deep inside of organic sound.
What makes it interesting to me is when I hear something that I haven't heard before. Something that's done in a different way. And I also believe that any instrument, you can take a tin whistle and make it punk rock if you want to. You just gotta be punk rock while you're playing it, and you can make it punk rock.
on an instrument or in a voice or in composition.
Yes, it's
persona. As in the sonido. The spirit of a person comes out in the sound of the music of the band, or the musicians.
What bands do y'all go see? Where do you go see?
In Pittsburgh, there's not a hell of a lot for us to do. We did go see Skeletal Family, and we liked them very much when they were still together, the tail end there, back last year. But do you want to talk a little bit about when we traveled to Boston?
For example, in Boston, Killing Joke, and local bands, band rock, hardcore, Silence, one band, One Free and Dusty.
Yeah, when we do go out in Pittsburgh, it's to like a little dive bar, so punk rock. And we'll put out that if Ministry came around, we'd be out there to see them. I know Vladi would enjoy seeing them live. And also, of course, Christian Death. I saw Christian Death literally like 1 month or a couple of weeks before Vladi came to the U.S. Valor, talking to Valor, was pretty cool that night. I mean, it was a small crowd in Pittsburgh, unfortunately, and he was outside just kind of surmising the merch table, etc. And I had a good talk with him that night, I remember, about politics of Barcelona and the violin, of course, that he plays.
He walks in the crowd after a show.
Well, I showed him that night a picture of Valor, and you, and others. I think it was, who else in that picture? The Barcelona. Valor, Usted. And that was the entree for me to talk about. That he was in the photo.
Yeah, this picture is for Motif. The one interview, I working for one magazine, Ecuadorian, Ecuatoriano de Latin America. Stories the dark side. One press, no online magazine, era impressed. And I interview a Baylor in Barcelona. I use one traductor. The question, confection, my boss, the history, the dark side, and wow, for me, very,
was it Monaco también? That was in that picture, la picture?
Oh yeah,
Monaco de Barcelona.
Very good musician,
very good man, friend and musician of Barcelona. Was in a picture with Valor Khan and Vladi from the days of when Vladi, from the time when he interviewed him, and. Valor saw it and he got a kick out of it, and we started talking that night.
For me, very satisfaction for very, very humble, very patient, unbelievable. I look other bands, very arrogant, pero Christian Death, the Baylor.
Arrogant other bands sometimes, often.
Very humble, patient, very cool.
Very much humility, and of course we've discovered that this past week with others of Christian Death as well.
After I show you this interview.
Yeah.
After
It's in
I show
print.
you.
It's in print, right? Or no? Is this one in print?
No, it's possible scanner.
Okay. Yeah. He's done others that are on video.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Well, do you have anything to share about upcoming news?
Yeah. Speaking of Christian death and news and people that are wonderful and humble yet full of achievement with much success. I guess I want to preface it by saying the backstory to it, if I may, the short backstory.
Please.
Okay, and that is that, of course, we have this album that's coming out at the end of the year. Our album's coming out, and I thought to myself, and I looked at Vladimir one day, and I said, recently, not about a month ago, and I said, we need to have a party or do something for when this album comes out, and I'm not sure Pittsburgh's the place for that, for good reason. And I said to Vladi, because I have a couple cousins there, I said, why don't we go to LA? We know Victor Sevillano, of course, from Eternity Radio, a good friend, and I've got a couple cousins in LA. I've never been to LA. I said, let's pick LA, go out and have a party, see if we can get a club to host us. And if not, we will throw a punk rock kind of, a DIY kind of goth rock.
Yeah.
Victor will help us, I said. And I know Victor's probably smiling when he sees this. And so we decided, okay, let's do it. And also Pittsburgh to LA is a round trip. One way. It's just one thing. Kind of cheap, not too expensive. So we decided, we put the word out to a few people, and the wonderful host here, folks, Miss skullgirdle herself, Michelle, she literally, like the old-fashioned game of telephone, she just put the word out to a few people, and literally 2 hours after we made the decision, 2 hours later, I didn't hardly do any work. I don't think I did any work at that point yet. We get a little knock-knock on our messenger, Jesucrisis messenger, from a gentleman that we didn't know, and he said, "Hey, when's your band coming to LA?" And I thought, oh, who's this guy? Anyway, I looked into who he was, and he said in that first thing as well, I like your sound, your band seems like ours, and hey, man, you can gig with us, we'll tour a little bit too on the West Coast. Ends up being Ravensmoreland, who's a veteran of the post-punk, of the punk scene in LA, late 70s. He's written songs with Jeanette from Concrete Blonde. You had your Concrete Blonde on earlier. And he was in Wall of Voodoo. He and his brother were formative influences of that scene. Mm-hmm. Anyway, long story short, he said, "Yeah, let's do it. We can do some playing together, all of us, the three of us, his three and his band, and us too." He's very good friends with Jatan Damone and Rick Agnew, and he said, "Those guys too." He said, "Those guys too."
Right.
Bill. I'm like, "You gotta be kidding me." He said, "No, I'll talk to them. I know they'll love your sound." And I said, "Okay, cool." So about a few weeks pass, and the little blocks start rolling in. Where Rick, the friendship. You had already been friendship. He's got like 5,000 friends on Facebook. So anyway, he was friends with all the people already. How close is a different story. But anyway, Rick wrote us back, and Jatan just wrote back this past week and said she loves our website, and she loves Jesucrisis music. She loves my music. She wants to work with us out there on this gigging with Ravensmoreland. So we are beyond honored.
Yes, for me it's unbelievable. This is my heroes.
Yes.
Musician, yeah, I like it. De hecho, Jesucrisis name is one similar. I tried one invention similar name, the Christian Dead. Jesucrisis is como, yeah, and very good. And for the October. In October, playing with one band Chilean, Diablo Strain.
We are playing in Pittsburgh.
Oh, okay. They've been getting a lot of hype lately.
Yeah. We played here in the house, but we're having a nice gig there at a club, Cativo, in Pittsburgh.
Yes, and other band local, Silence. It's a one band. Post-punk and very, very forte. For the moment, we rehearsal, we prepare, working composition, etc. For new album, for gifts, no?
For gifts?
Gifts, no? Concert the
gigs. I thought you were talking gifts. For gifts, sí. En vivo.
Yes.
We also have one other potential surprise, and we're not going to mention it yet. Actually,
it's not a surprise if you mention it. You have to hold back.
I don't know how it can get any bigger than playing with Chatan and Rick, actually, and Ravens, and the fact that we're do some touring. But we do have something else that we'll let people know as soon as we get the confirmation of the, let's just say when we're in LA, we might be doing something pretty cool as well, involving outside of LA. So I'll wait to announce that once we get confirmation.
Well, that's exciting. Are you nervous to meet Gitan Demon? Are you nervous?
She doesn't make me feel nervous. Are we nervous? Nobody else? It'll be nerve-wracking when we finally do get to meet her, yeah.
I'm not nervous. Only one sentiment, one small, it's unbelievable. Oh, no, I need
to pinch.
Well, take photos. Take photos.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to be taking photos. We're going to be having videos, and there's people out there that I think are going to be taking photos and videos. Well, a great friend of mine, Santiago, is a wonderful photographer, and she happened to write down. She loved the EP, which is his EP. You know, the EP prior to my being in the band. So I think we've got fans out there already, which is wonderful.
You do. I share your album actually, and most people actually like it quite a bit.
Very thankful to you for your help.
Well, I mean, I don't really feel like I feel like I accidentally knew somebody, so I'm glad it worked out.
Yeah.
And I'm excited to see where Jesucrisis goes in January and next year, because I feel like next year is going to be a big year for you.
Thank you.
Are you ready for it? Are you ready?
Yeah, we are now. I think we are now. I think Lima and Santiago really helped. On a funny note of that, you know, when we finally got the green card for Vladi, attempted to be a U.S. permanent resident here, we had the green light to go see his family. And Vladimir said to me, well, we should also play a gig. He first said a gig. I'm like, why don't we wait? Why don't we do that in stages? Why don't we wait on that? And he said, not only one gig, but we had three. He was lining up three. I wanted to, to strangle him. But then later I was like, hey, man, this worked out beautifully because it was the kick in the ass we needed to get our...
Right.
We were so busy with so much other stuff, including his business here in Pittsburgh and everything with immigration. But we got our act together. We played 3 great gigs, wonderful reception from people, and we got good footage, I think. That's been helpful to us.
Yeah,
it's our message out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's very good movement, the musician, for example, in Chile and Peru. And it's one movement, very, very, very... much bands, much experimental bands, much diverse bands, very good movements actually in Santiago and in Lima.
We have good friends.
I listen much bands, the Friends, famous bands. I listen more bands, the Friends, the Lima, Chile, Europe, USA, and it's interesting. The movement was the musician in Chile and Lima.
All right. Well, I'm glad you got that kick in the ass, because sometimes it takes that, and sometimes it takes somebody who's very enthusiastic like Vladi to get your ass out there and doing what you need to do, Lisa.
I'm the one that does the kicking of the ass, but yeah, it was funny. Here he was doing all the behind the scenes. Here, of course, for LA, I'm doing it because of the English factor. Although your English is pretty damn good this interview, I must say. I'm impressed, actually, quite impressed. But yeah, it just, you do need that motivation. And things fell into place for us beautifully with Santiago and Lima, and with the precursors to what was going on here with our precursor to LA, it just worked out so wonderfully. It was meant to be, I think, that we decided, well, we'll throw in that attitude of having the DIY, we're going to go there and play no matter what, even if Sevillano needs to find us some warehouse to put in. And then the fact that we got the beautiful, not only an invite, but a beautiful invite. And I have to say, too, to everybody out there, that we got a ton of invites from clubs that Ravens, Bruce Moreland, set me out to, because he's very busy right now. He's a worker like Vladi is. Vladi's an electrician, and Bruce is a hardwood floor installer. He said, I'm kind of busy right now for the next month. I said, give me the contacts. I'll contact them. Of course, your name. And they were like, hell yeah. Everybody was happy. We love Bruce. Hell yeah. We love Bruce. We love his music. And your music sounds cool too. Of course, I had to put that past them.
Right.
And then the fact that Jatan and Rick were going to at the time possibly be involved, they were like, no problem. And so motivation came threefold for us.
Yes. Yeah. It's just seems like it's rolling downhill and it's going fast. Do you think that because you have this thing that I've noticed in a couple of other bands, and you approach your music and your shows with humility, with genuine humility, from talking to you, you're genuinely humble. Do you think that approaching with humility has something to do with success?
It's curious. In my short job, the periodistic, the one magazine, the dark music and similar concepts, I interview much bands, important, and the very big band, probably more. This is person very human, probably is important humility for exit, ¿sabes?
Being down to earth, yes, humility.
Yes.
Being down to earth, approachable, I think, is super important.
The answer for the one man, only play and rehearsals for connotadismo, for only thing mine and famous, probably composition not good. I don't know. My experience with my heroes band in contact physics interview, very people human. Yeah, it's very. Yo creo que es essential.
It's essential.
Right. So then, what do you think of Andrew Eldritch and who is that little man who threw a bottle? Peter Murphy. Oh my God, I fucking love Bauhaus. One of my favorite bands. Peter Murphy. What do you think of people who are like, "Fuck you, we're not goth"?
I try to not pay attention too much to some of that. I mean, I love Peter Murphy, no matter what. I saw Peter Murphy too in a very intimate setting here in Pittsburgh about 10 years ago or so.
Oh.
And he didn't seem to be in any way arrogant. I mean, I'm sure he can be, like we all can have terrible qualities at times, and I'm sure his public persona at times has suffered. I know it. But what matters is, for me, is for the artist, for any artist, is the music. Is the music unique? That to me, and for Vladi too, we talk a lot about this. Is it unique songwriting, or are you trying to make a song that sounds like Andrew Eldritch? We try to look at the artists as what they're doing, and what their personalities are. I think.
Right.
Yeah, I look Bauhaus, complete band, in 1 year in Barcelona. I look one very good show. I look Jurassic one small aggressive, and I think probably mucho stress, giras, tours, working musician, exposition in public, one concert one day in one country, other concert in other country. In one moment, for me, I think playing much days consecutive is very difficult.
Tiring. Mm-hmm.
So very tired. In one moment, 1 month explosion.
Right.
But when you respect, for example, I look at Sister Mercy live.
Mm-hmm.
In first time, Andrew Eldritch say smoking one cigarette. He say, "Oh, for me no possible play today porque my pain my."
Oh man.
Cigarette. Okay. Return one other match. Promise the concert is good. Playing very good. One show very dynamic. And after this show, I and my friends in one bar closed the room, the concert. The musicians, the Sister of Mercy, 2 boys, no, 2 months, very young.
2 young men, 2 young guys, yeah.
2 young guys. One saying, "Oh, I like your jacket. It's possible for me." No, it's my jacket. It's personal.
You have to make those. You have to make it yourself, or it has no meaning.
Yeah, I like your jacket.
No.
Es posible for me, say me de banquita. In one moment, Andrew Eldridge walking a bar with accompanying one very big man. Look in the bar in interior and after walking very speed outside the bar. ¿No? Era un poco escurridizo, así como.
It's como. I think is the moral of the story perhaps is that the two younger guys in the band, the less seasoned guys in the band were more approachable. So much so they could even ask somebody like Vladimir, like, "Hey, I want your jacket. Is it possible?" Maybe they thought they're haughty enough for themselves. But Andrew Eldridge and his entourage perhaps were above that at that point. I don't know.
Yeah, I am very respect and the concept, the bass rhythmic, the drum machine, and Jesucrisis is very present.
Como Dr. Avalanche.
Yeah. Jesucrisis uses one.
We use, obviously, we have to use backing tracks, especially now as a duo, and that's coming full circle a little bit to the guests and the collaborations you mentioned earlier. Mm-hmm. We are in a unique position in that we can travel light when it's the two of us with backing tracks. But we have people around the world in Lima and in Argentina and in Finland and in Berlin that are all a part of our web of collaborators, potential collaborators.
Right.
So,
well, you know what I'd like to see is bands like you who collaborate with all these different bands, collect the collaborations that are not under Jesucrisis, for example, if it's under their band name or a different band name, and put them together. Because it's very frustrating when I want to see all the collaborations that you guys have done, which, Lisa, you actually list yours. So thank you so much for doing that in one place where I can find them.
There was no band.
Right. I would like to see Jesucrisis collaborates and just bring all that shit together and put it on one CD, or one album, sorry, a collection of music, one place, so that we as the people who listen can hear everything you've done with other people to that point. And so when you're looking for some of this stuff, it gets really hard to find. And people are like, well, I collaborated with this person and this person and this person. I was like, how am I going to find that? How am I going to find that when you're a tiny little note at the bottom?
Yeah, it shouldn't be hard to find. Other bands need to be able to honor that, I think. I mean, I did it out of necessity on my web page and on my Bandcamp page, but hell, if you collaborate with another person, and that other person collaborates with you, it ought to be very visible and known. It's kind of something I've brought up with other musicians that, it should be honored. It should be a little bit more word out there.
Yes, and that is why people like your website, because I went to your website and I found the history of Jesucrisis. I found the history and blog of your own work. I found links to all of the work that was available. And I found your writings out there, which, by the way, if y'all don't realize, Lisa is an accomplished writer. She's written many articles and a couple of books. Dos books. Libros. But that's all on the website. I know people who research almost to the level that I do that are just fans. They want to know your musical history because they're going to go back and find some of that old stuff and listen to it. So for musicians who are watching, please check lisamilesviolin.com, right? www.lisamilesviolin.com.
Right, because that's also the official web presence of Jesucrisis.
Right. Well, I'm going to list whatever links I can find. I'm going to list them.
We have a YouTube page, if I may put out.
Yes.
Just look for, rather than, as you probably know, as I know you know, Michelle, YouTube and their wild theatrics of trying to get people to pay for this or that. And rather than put out a bunch of jarbled letters, just look for Jesucrisis Official, and you will find us.
Yes.
In all caps or all small letters, Jesucrisis Official on YouTube, and you'll find our page, and you'll find all of our old videos, footage, clips, etc.
Yeah, and then people can hear what you sound like live, because you sound pretty clear live. I don't know who you got to record that, but they actually did pretty well from the videos that I've seen.
It's our iPad that recorded the live in Lima. She said, nuestro sonido muy claro.
It's only one iPad.
An iPad, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, of course.
Hold the iPad for us while we played, and we did the same for his band, actually.
Yes. That's the exchange that I love to see. And I see a lot of musical acts in the dark scene, I see there's so much intermingling and there's so much camaraderie, but helping each other. And I admire the people who help each other and have empathy for each other, and for the people that support them are my favorite people. How hard is it to find, I don't know, I get other bands, people in the scene that actually are supportive, like for real supportive, not like just supportive so they can advertise their own shit.
I think it's hard to comment on that. I want to be very careful with what I say. I want to say this, which is that if you are friends with a person on Facebook, and I mean good friends. I don't mean just that you're a friend of somebody. If you have colleagues, is what I call it, artist colleagues, and if they have something that comes out, whether you like it or not, you should at least attend to addressing it in some way. I think that's important to not address it at all with a like or a comment or a share. Says something. Why not share? Vladi and I share a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you do.
We share our colleagues' work, and we share things that are important to us. We're talking about sharing on Facebook when you have a friend whose work just came out. What good does it do to simply like it? Why not put it out there to other people? Yeah. What do you think? ¿Qué piensa usted de Facebook y compartir otras personas, otros músicos, creaciones?
Yeah, I share much band. I have much friends, for example, in Latin America. One especially small way Gothic treffen, pero more small Latin.
Juego de Murciélagos, they presented us in Lima.
This productora try one unification the bands in Latin America.
We try to put the word out.
Yeah, Cadaver Fest, Lima, and Argentina.
Cadaver Fest.
Or in Chile.
We try to lift those artists up, just as they have lifted us up.
Yeah, productora mutante.
Yes, herbos.
De Herbo, el Herbo a apoyar mucho Jesucrisis.
Helps much.
En Lima, Cueva de Murciélagos. Cueva de Murciélagos.
And they did a great job too with promo. It's so different from Wade Gothic Treffen, who is so,
yeah.
money. And also Loomis Gothic Fest, Jurgi, what he does with Loomis, it's amazing with the art and the making sure, just like Cueva de Murciélagos with Vincent, how to really lift up artists, and including artists that are visual, that are connected to the events.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We like that smaller kind of attention, and that's why this whole thing with Jachan and Rick and Ravens and LA for us has been a tailspin because they're so humble, and yet it's such a great big thing. For us, it was
very cool.
Amazing.
Yeah, very good people.
Yeah, but they're probably not thinking that. They're probably just like, ooh, have you seen this new band? Oh, I can't wait to get them on stage. They're probably thinking just something completely different. They're not even thinking, oh, I'm going to consciously lift up this band. But I would just be excited. It would just be exciting for me to find someone relatively new and to play with them and to see what happens when a new influence comes out.
I think too, on this related note of the humility and how to share other people's work, artists being afraid to, envious maybe of other artists and not wanting to prop up. I think what a beautiful example, Jatan writing us and writing me personally to say that she liked our site and our music. Think about that. This is a person who's done so much, and what she wrote to me is that she said, Lisa, I'm just a painter who every day gets up and I have paint and ink on my hands, and every day I try to go to the studio to work. It reminds me, as I say it, of my first book, Esther Phillips, in which she said with her painting every day, it's just hitting me now, that she's an artist and she's a worker. And I think a lot of artists of our scene, and hopefully we haven't fallen into that trap, I think sometimes you get envious or you're afraid of propping up other artists, but we are not afraid to glorify and help other artists.
Yeah, you do not fall into the place where you're afraid to help other people.
For my part, I only listen bands mind more collective.
Collective.
They have one mind collective.
Yes.
No only, I need only we ban no more other bands. No. The friends que apoyar a nosotros.
The friends that help us.
Have one mind collective.
Yeah.
Right, because you never know where inspiration is going to come from.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think, honestly, I think that's what music does for us as a whole. Makes you feel like you're part of something beyond yourself.
Absolutely. For me, it lifted me out of something that I needed lifted out of back in 2015 when I had realized that I had just gotten so far away from composing and creating, and then finding the music scene that I did, the international Gothic rock scene and scene. And I have to give a shout out actually to Victor Sevillano for great help with that. There were others, of course, before that, even the band Come With Reverse, who I went to play with in Greece. But I didn't really get to know any and everybody until Victor Sevillano crossed my path via my collaboration with an Italian poetess. And then everybody in the world just seemed to come through, and that camaraderie of artists helping artists, or being there, that's a great thing. It makes you feel stronger as a creator, I think, to having people around you.
Yes, very good people.
Yeah.
And I think that you're very enthusiastic, and I think that is infectious, and people want to be around that.
Es emocionante. Nosotros, ella dice que nosotros emocionante, con mucho enérgico para vivir, para vida.
Oh yeah, we working in house, in composition, etc. First time think for music for we.
Yeah, that's how it should be for an artist. You're first thinking and creating for yourself what you like.
Yeah, and for me, very appreciate the attitude the friends que apoyar.
That help you. Asistencia.
Yeah, very good assistance. This is a very good kick-ass for continue.
Good kick-ass to continue. Yeah, and when you create, when you compose something, as any band sits around and starts on the guitar or whatever to compose a song, you're doing it because you dig it, you like the sound. But when someone else out there, one or two or a few other people in your scene, especially fellow colleagues that I call them, when they like it, that tells you something. Even if the public never likes your work, if you have some colleagues that like your work, that's important. And when there's even more people that like your work, it's a kick. It's a real kick. It truly is. Especially when it's some out of your scene too. For me, walking down the streets of downtown Pittsburgh one day, a long time ago, a man and his little boy stopped me and he said, "Hey man, didn't you play at a gallery once on violin? You did some really weird, different things on your acoustic violin, and I really liked it. I never heard it before." And that to me made my month.
Yeah.
Because when you can turn the mind of somebody that's not part of your scene into liking what you sound like, that says everything. That really says everything.
Okay, y'all, I just have one more question, and that is, you live together and you create together, correct?
Sí. Yes, we live together, vivíamos juntos y creación juntos.
Oh yeah.
Let her finish the question.
Do you think that makes it, more convenient? Yes. Do you think that makes it easier to create together? Or do you think sometimes that causes you to have more difficulty in separating one life from the other? Or is it all just one life for you at this point?
Let me say it is one life for us, but we do separate things with regards to his electrician business, my other work, and some of my solo and collaborative music, and this and that. Even though Jesucrisis is everything to us, it encompasses all. We do compose separately in different rooms, and we do different processes in different rooms of the recording, etc. But then we come together.
Yeah.
You want to talk about the process?
For example, I think it's very for my system it's very necessary, very autocritic for composition. Porque I think much sound, much songs, but
so he's saying being autocritical. 90%.
90% is yes, so it's shit.
I don't think so. I think he probably has
only
more.
1% is very good. And this 1% is necessarily working. For this is difficult. Pero the process is very funny. It's very good. I like it. I enjoy much the process, the composition one song.
We were trying to express to you, Michelle. We should try to express to you about how do we feel. She's asking about us living together, being in a relationship, and having a band relationship as well. Is it easy or difficult?
Yeah. Yeah, but bueno, for working with Lisa.
Así es, a little of both. Yeah. In working with Lisa.
For my it's real. Es more easy. For the other integrants que in the pasado integrants que playing in Jesucrisis.
Oh, previous players. Yeah, previous players.
Yeah, I am no.
You sure? Are you sure it's easier?
Yeah. I am no intellectual man. I am no intellectual man. No intellectual.
You're not an intellectual.
I am no intellectual, and I like it much. People with participation in Jesucrisis have one much culture. I like it. Read books.
You're saying he is an intellectual man. Yeah.
Yes, it's necessary. I like it. Very good movies.
Yeah. Culture.
Art. Yeah, I like it much different culture than the war. Yeah, for this motive, it's very good, interesting, and easy working with Lisa. I working with other man who only like it playing for ser similar a one band.
Yeah, to sound like another band.
Only mine in discotheque. I like a discotheque. I love a discotheque.
Discotheque displays, yeah, there's always a discotheque.
After
the concerts in Lima. I was shocked. We played this great ass gig.
No, I wish we did that.
I was like, what the fuck are we doing? But it was an experience, you know.
Yeah, we got kicked out of the last show right after Twin Tribes finished. They kicked us out. Like, get out, we're closed. I was like, ooh.
I mean, if it was good music, it was kind of like, I don't know, but I should say. It was an experience. It was fun.
Yeah,
but we had a good time trying to get our act together, our shit together with regard to music. But we have difficulties too. Obviously, there's a lot going on dynamically in our life, and maybe it'll settle down a little bit and it'll be easier. I think it will with a little time.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think it's going to stay exciting.
You know, what we present to the public, of course, is just, oh, yeah, it's all beautiful and wonderful, but it's tough. Being in a relationship is always tough, and being in a band relationship, which is a relationship, is always tough. And you just have to figure out, you got to figure out ways to relate, you know, as musicians and as people.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
This has been Jesucrisis with Undead Conversations. Y'all have any last words?
Oh, we just want to thank you for having us. This has been a real pleasure.
I don't understand the last words. So.
Thank you to Michelle. Thank you to...
Thank you, Michelle, for your interest in this project.
Yes.
And I working for years for people. We working for the people. And thank you very much. I am very happy. This interview is very comfortable in the house.
And maybe we should say our little album name, yeah? Love, Respect, and Sweet Darkness.
Yeah, probably this name. Yeah. Love,
Respect, and Sweet Darkness.
Love, Respect, and very sweet darkness.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me.
Thank you.
So, hey, thanks for watching. Until next time.